Big Sean and Hit Boy have just released a 6-song EP called What You Expect, and it was a surprise drop. No one was really expecting this, but they had really good chemistry on Detroit 2, which released in 2020, so my hopes were kind of high going into it, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it. So guys, let me know your thoughts on What You Expect in the comment sections. Not only that, but please hit the subscribe button if you're new to NFR's content, because we'll be keeping you updated with all of the biggest rollouts of the year, especially reviews and reactions. So Lou, how do you feel about this, man? And what were you expecting when you saw that post on IG that, Hit Boy and Big Sean were going to be creating a 6-song EP?
Yeah, in terms of what you expect, I mean, I didn't really expect all that much, I'll be honest with you. I feel like it kind of felt like it didn't have too much marketing behind it, and I feel like it might just be a compilation of songs thrown together, and that's kind of what I got overall. I just feel like there was nothing too impressive here, and it seemed like these were songs that just didn't make the cut of Detroit too. That's kind of the vibe that I got overall.
I know, and it's kind of like a different vibe within this album. So guys, listen, we do review reactions a bit differently here, so we actually go by category. So we start off with artist performance, content, features, producing, and then instant replay value. And we don't necessarily have a numerical system to the way we rate these categories. We go by feelings and emotions that we have towards the project. So bad, mid, good, great, amazing, and then perfect. So let's start off with artist performance. Where do you think Big Sean excelled, and where do you think he was lacking on this 6-song EP?
I think it was cool that he did do the majority of the rapping on the album besides the features that he had, and there were a lot of 3-verse songs, which was kind of refreshing to see. But apart from that, I just feel like performance-wise, yes, he did bring a lot of energy to the songs, but the flows were very traditional for Big Sean. I don't feel like he experimented too much in that aspect. Not only that, but on a song like Loyal to a Fault, I felt like the melodic flows on there were super out of pocket. I feel like that's kind of territory that Big Sean shouldn't be diving into if that's the execution that we're going to get, because really wasn't all that strong. And I just feel like these weren't some of his best bars, and it didn't seem calculated in terms of his performance. He didn't seem like his vocals were always matching the production that well.
Not only that, but I mean, besides chaos and into it, I also feel as if there was sort of a lack of motivation to be able to excel and kind of present new things. Like, those are kind of the only 2 songs that I really felt as if Big Sean kind of gave a good performance on, where it kind of held up to his standard. But for the most part, especially with Detroit 2, there was a lot of, fans that really enjoyed that project. But on this one, I'm not sure if he's matching that same energy. Like, there's at times, example, like on Loyal to a Fault, like, why is Big Sean doing the hook on there? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you have someone like Bryson Tiller on there, or even, fuck it, give it to Lil Durk, like, if you're going to perform that way, like, it didn't feel good. Not only that, but, offense, like, I get
that
it.
Was
like,
weak.
That was really weak, because you have Hit Boy who's giving you like these super quick snare drums and like whatever else is going on with it, and it just feels like he can't really keep up with that tempo, and if he does, it kind of seems uncalculated. And at a certain point, his delivery was so weak that the beat was overpowering him, where I was more gravitated towards the production. So I think overall, like, the artist performance was just mid. Like, it didn't do anything special. There wasn't crazy performances. I mean, besides Chaos and Into It, those were the only songs where you saw Big Sean kind of match his standard, where like that's what you could expect from a Big Sean verse. But overall, just wasn't really impressed with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But let's now go into the content matter of the EP. And I mean, I didn't expect too much from it. I felt like it would be Big Sean kind of just having fun, and for the most part, what you're getting are these braggadocious lines, like bars like, for example, if I was stuck in a room with your shit on repeat, then that shit would be torturous. So he's kind of just, I feel like he feels like he slept on as a rapper, and that an EP like this is maybe meant to wake people up and make him more hip to other audiences. But at the same time, lyrically, he doesn't do anything here to really stand out as an artist. And a lot of the bars, I hate to say this because it's such a cliche to say that Big Sean has cringeworthy bars, but a lot of them were on this EP for me.
But there is their fair share of good writing on here. So example, I like example for the one on the way he starts off his first verse, Architect, the way I take it to extreme measures. Sometimes you got to break your life down to build it better. So there was, but I still like that because it's still trying to offer introspection, but it's not breaking the boundaries. You know what I'm trying to say?
It's just
like,
very basic.
It's not that it's basic because it's memorable to him, and I'm sure his fans are going to be able to connect to it. It's just I don't think he's doing anything to really push the boundaries on his content. Like take this EP, maybe guide us into what we could expect for a future studio album. There was none of that here.
I think content-wise on the song Into It, that was pretty cool because he was rapping about how it's hard for a new artist to actually break into the game, and how without any connections, it really takes a lot of work and grinding to actually, make it to a space where you have a fan base and you actually have people backing you. So to see him give introspection in that light, that's something I wanted more of, because that's something that Big Sean has experience in, because he is one of the most successful rappers of the 2010s. So if he wants to kind of guide future artists and give his experiences within the music industry, that would be super refreshing. But for the most part, you're getting Big Sean flexing on a lot of these bars about how big his mansion is, and just a lot of braggadocious stuff about him and women. For example, there's one bar that's flying home to my bitch, I fucked the flight attendant. Like, totally out of context from the song, totally out of place. You're just left wondering, like, come on, Big Sean, you're better than that.
Absolutely. And I think you can know that because of Detroit 2.
Yeah.
Wasn't too long ago and was a really good album as far as content
So was
goes.
I Decided.
These are projects where Big Sean actually comes in and touches, some great stuff. But overall, the content was mid. Yeah. There was nothing really going on here. I mean, it's braggadocious bars and then some introspection, to some degree, But for the most part, also the women talk. I mean, I get it. It's Big Sean's persona, but if you're gearing up to drop another studio album in the next year or so, you kind of want to build up like that anticipation for introducing your future audience to a new sort of craft or a new sort of skill sets. But let's actually move on to the features. We had 4 in total, being Bryson Tiller, Lil Durk, 42 Dugg, and Babyface Ray. So, dude, I don't know how you fucked with 42 Dugg on Offense. I'm sorry, bro. That really wasn't good at all.
I didn't say I fucked with it. I just said that it was the best part of the song for me. Like, I felt like nobody else really stood out. I mean, Babyface Ray, super forgettable on that track. Like, I can't even remember a single word that he rapped on there. And Big Sean's performance was really not good either. But overall, the way that I felt about the features were that they were totally unnecessary. And it's weird that like these songs are kind of within that 3 to 4 minute range, and it's not even like they came in and added something refreshing, but at the same time, you felt like you needed the features, but those ones just didn't perform. And Lil Durk on Loyal to a Fault was a big miss for me. I felt like he was rapping way too quickly with that flow on such a smooth beat. Like, the production on there was very laid back, and the tempo that he was rapping at was just way too fast. And I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, and I mean, listen, it's kind of be a generic Lil Durk verse. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I think I've heard this verse on 15 different albums. Like, that's kind of the way that I've been feeling about his feature game lately. But I'm talking about Bryson Tiller. Just put him on the hook, bro. Like, get him on the hook or get him on like a nice bridge.
Did you like his rapping here?
It was, again, like way too fast paced. It seemed out of place. Like, why do you need to do that when Bryson Tiller excels in different things, especially if you're trying to make a romance song, like providing background vocals, like providing maybe romantic introspection. Like, this just seemed like too much of like a rap attempt. And I mean, we are a rap podcast and we do appreciate that, but for fuck's sakes, you have Bryson Tiller on the song. Like, you could really do something special with it. And I think it's just because he was misplaced. But yeah, overall, the features were fucking mid. Like, there's nothing
close to bad, I would say. Close to it.
It's not that, like, it wasn't bad performances. Like, it was just totally out of place. Like, I genuinely didn't think that there was any place for them on the song.
They were just like slapped on. That's kind of the vibe that I got.
It was mostly that. But let's actually talk about the production, because this is where we take a really positive note within the review reaction. So we've been talking pretty negative, but let's get on to Hit Boy, because he absolutely doesn't miss. Like, the guy cannot make a single bad beat.
Impossible.
And throughout the whole project, like, it's cool to see how he's driving into like more like trap influence beats and trying to get something that knocks harder. So how did you like this sort of transition into more trap influence beats, whereas Detroit 2, there was maybe more soul samples and it was a bit more calculated on that?
Well, yeah, you kind of got a mix of that on this EP too, which was pretty refreshing, was that you have these trap-infused beats where you have these epic horns on a song like Chaos, as well as some hard-hitting 808s. Like, that was cool to see, but it's cool how you can go from one track that has a hard-hitting, aggressive-sounding instrumental that's, kind of has this trap backdrop, but then you go into another song where You have a soul sample, and it's cool to see how diverse the EP was in terms of the sounds. I just wish that Big Sean's performances kind of match those beats. Apart from that, it was also cool to see how certain instrumentals on here had beat switches. Like I remember one song, I think it was Offense, which kind of starts off with a soul sample, but then turns into like this West Coast.
It was the one, I think. I believe it was the one.
I'm pretty sure it's Offense.
Really?
Yeah, it starts off with a soul sample and turns into like this West Coast trap infused instrumental. So a lot of surprises production wise, and that's something that I go to Hit Boy for, because he's someone who will not typically give you just a loop for a rapper to rap over. He'll actually alter the beat and add things, add different elements to it as the song's going on, which is something that not a lot of producers do in 2021. So in my opinion, Hit Boy killed it, and I think that overall the production was great for me.
Absolutely, it was great, and it's also like you kind of already know when you start off the track list, because Chaos and Into It right away were two slapper of beats, where super fast bass, you know, these grand 808s where they're fucking slapping, and it kind of already gets the listener immersed into the EP, so it grabs your attention. So I gotta salute Hit Boy for that. But overall, yeah, just great production. It's really a shame that the features are Big Sean didn't necessarily do much with it, you know. Like that's where I feel as if the fault is with this EP. But let's move on to the instant replay. I'm not revisiting this. I really don't think I'm revisiting this.
Honestly, I might revisit it one more time just to see if I feel the same way. But I think I really don't see myself ever bumping this. I think that out of Big Sean's entire catalog, if you're including this as a project, it really ranks at the bottom of the barrel for me. I hate to say it because I'm rooting for Big Sean. I loved what he did with Detroit 2. It was one of the better albums, I would say, of 2020. Not on my top 10 list or anything, but still a pretty solid project. And with this one, there's nothing to go back to. And yes, the production is really strong, but when the performances aren't matching up to it, it ruined the songs for the most part.
And I mean, just on my end, I think I'm only going to keep like 2 songs out of this. Like, even if
would you really?
If I would, I think I'm going to revisit 2 songs if I should put it like that. Like, genuinely, I don't think I'm going to take anything out of this, because I have so much material from Big Sean where I could go back to his past catalog and go bump old shit, you know? Like, I'm definitely not going to be revisiting this to get my fix on Big Sean's music. So, overall, I think that the replay value on this is going to be bad.
It is bad.
It's like, what are you going to really grab out of it? You know, you have great production, but there's nothing else to match it. I mean, I might as well go listen to like Burden of Proof if I want like a fantastic, you know, Hit Boy produced album that an artist matches that sort of production. So at the end of the day, like, what are you really going to grab out of this? But let's go to our overall thoughts. So on my end, Big Sean did not perform to Hit Boy's production. I think that's the first thing I'm going to say. Features were totally uncalculated and it kind of felt slapped on. For the most part, as far as content matter goes, yes, there was times where Big Sean kind of, you know, dipped and dived into different introspection, but again, a lot of gloating, a lot of stuff that is really generic at this point in hip hop. And again, I mean, just as far as like performances goes, wasn't a big fan of Big Sean of this album.
Yeah, I just feel like this EP was just very contradictory, because the whole point of it was for Big Sean to prove that he's the slept-on rapper and that he can really and he should be in those top 5 conversations, let's say. But it was kind of his performances and bars and everything put into it is kind of an antithesis to that, because he proved to us why maybe he shouldn't be in those conversations. But at the same time, I don't want this to reflect Big Sean as an artist, because he has given us solid work over the years, and I do think that he is a very skilled artist. But with this project, like you said, performances were weak, the features were uncalculated, and it just felt like a bunch of leftovers from Detroit 2. And it's sad to say that he wasted a lot of great Hit Boy, you know, produced tracks that a lot of artists would pay a pretty penny for if they're on the come up. So disappointing EP. I did think that he could have done better, and I'm just hoping that the studio album is much more impressive than this.
Absolutely, if it does end up coming out. So overall, the project was mid.
It was mid.
Yeah, there's nothing really else to go back on it for. You know, we kind of gave our reasons for it. And I mean, listen, it's not to say that Big Sean is a bad artist at all. Like, he's been putting in work, and, you know, he's been putting in time, and he has crafted great albums. But for the most part, like,
this was very lackluster.
It was very lackluster. It wasn't a focus on it. And I understand it's only an EP, but still, like, you get EPs where there is some sort of cohesiveness to it. So guys, listen, let me know your thoughts on this new Big Sean and Hit Boy EP in the comments section. section. Not only that, but please subscribe if you have not already, because we'll be keeping you updated with all of the biggest rollouts of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed this new review, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.